Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound Podcast Best Bets video for UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi. Whittaker taking on De Ridder in the main event. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound Podcast, hit that like and subscribe buttons. We have to talk about the slam of the week, the most confident play on the board, the one that I put the most money on every single week, week in and week out. If this bet hits this week, it'll be hitting at an 80% clip, 8 of its last 10. And kicking things off, we have Shara Nurmagomedov here, KO or decision. I like him here, double method. I think that he gets this one done most likely by KO here against Marc-Andre Barriault. I think this is going to be a showcase bout for him over in Abu Dhabi. I think he gets it done without the judges' scorecards. But just in case Marc-Andre Barriault proves to be tough, I think his chin's gone. But if in case he does, we're going to take the KO or decision double method here to kick things off. And we have Carlos Leal as the second leg here, just money line. I think wherever this fight goes, I think Leal's the better fighter. I think he stalks on the feet very well. I think he most likely finds the knockout on the feet. But if he does decide to mix in some grappling, that's going to be all well and good here for the money line play as the second leg of our confident parlay. And we also have Abu Aslan here, KO or decision. Again, I think he gets it done with the hands here against Billy. I don't necessarily think that Billy's going to have a whole lot of success at 205. I think Abu Aslan hits far too hard here, and he is going to be able to find the knockout, just like he's done in a lot of his previous fights. If it does end up being a little bit tough, a little bit sketchy, we do have the judges' scorecards factored in here with the KO or decision. That's going to round out our slam of the week here, plus 102. Most confident parlay on the board. If you're tailing, hit that like and subscribe button, and hopefully we can hit at an 80% clip here for the slam of the week. And next up, we have Tabitha Baby Shark Arichi sitting at plus 140. I do believe this line could be sitting anywhere between plus 140 or plus 160, depending on what your sports book has. And Amanda Hebos here is the more technical striker. I completely understand where the line is, where it is. I do think Amanda Hebos probably should be the favorite based on her UFC experience. But one thing I will say here is that her willingness to play jiu-jitsu in the grappling game in her previous fights has cost her. We saw in her last fight against Mackenzie Dern that she was very willing to play jiu-jitsu there, and I think that'll get her in trouble here against Tabitha Ricci. Ricci likes to mix in the takedown. She likes to mix in the grappling. She's got improved boxing with her boyfriend Callum Walsh, who's been working on her striking, and I think that she's relentless. I think she's the bigger dog in this fight here. I do think that Ricci can bite down on the mouthpiece and just make fights ugly, and I think that that's going to cause Hebos to make low fight IQ mistakes here, which ultimately are going to cost her and help us to cash here for plus 140 for Tabitha Baby Shark Arichi. I think she gets it done here, money line. And I like her as the dog here. I think if you want to get a little bit of extra value, take her by the prop of decision here. And next up, we have Jose Ochoa taking this fight on short notice against Azu Almabayev, and this line's obviously grown. Obviously, a lot of people do like Almabayev this week. I still think there's value at minus 120 here. I think he mixes in the takedowns. I think the guy has got fantastic grappling, good top pressure, and I think that Ochoa is going to struggle here to keep up with the pace on short notice. I think this is going to be a wrestle-heavy game plan, just like Almabayev always likes to do. I think that he's going to control Ochoa for many rounds here, maybe 2 of the 3, and ultimately just basically win this one on the judges' scorecards. I do think Ochoa is very, very good, still very young, very talented, very aggressive on the feet. I think ultimately that aggressive nature gets him taken down early and often here, and also with the short notice. I don't trust his gas tank with a heavy wrestling style of Almabayev. I like the money line play here of minus 120 to get it done. And next up, we have Piotr Jan taking on Marcus McGee. And then give me Marcus McGee here, plus 3.5 on the spread. This one really is a no-brainer. If you're a UFC fan, if you're any fighter that's any fan of the UFC, excuse me, and you've watched Piotr Jan's fights, you know that he always takes off the first round. He takes off the first round. He's very slow, and that's just because he likes to get his reads. And a lot of fights, obviously, are 5 rounds for him. He can afford to do that. He has 4 more to play with. Well, this is a 3-round fight. Piotr Jan taking this fight, a slow pace early in round 1 is going to give it to Marcus McGee. Marcus McGee is obviously very talented, very explosive, of absolute physical specimen as well. He hits very hard, and I think he could come out here and win this first round and cash for the plus 3.5. I think Piotr Jan wins. I think he wins 29-28, and I think Marcus McGee here is going to cash plus 3.5 on the spread here, sitting at plus 100. That's dog money, and we know that Piotr Jan's going to take the first round off, so I like Marcus McGee here to get it done, plus 3.5 on the spread. And I do think that Piotr Jan by decision is also another prop that I would look at here. I think this one goes to the judges' scorecards. I think we see 29-28 Piotr Jan. And next up, we have the dog of the week, my favorite betting underdog on the entire card. And if you haven't seen the highlight reel tape already, it is going to be Rinja Derrida here in the main event against Robert Whittaker. Full highlight reel tape. I'll leave the link in the description like I always do. Check that video out for a more detailed description here for my dog of the week. Entertaining video and a full description here of why I like him as my favorite betting underdog. I think he cashes here against Robert the Reaper Whittaker, and that's my favorite play here for underdog. And that's the one I'm going to have the most money on this week. And next up, we have the prop section here with Damon Blackshear sitting at plus 700 for the second round submission. And I think he gets it done here but against Davy Grant. Davy Grant's 4 losses out of the 7 that he's had have all come via submission. And I do think that Grant is a good fighter. You know, he can obviously strike, but I think when it comes to the grappling, that's not his forte. And I think a guy like Blackshear can definitely take advantage here. I do think the first round plays out with a little bit of striking back and forth. Blackshear mixes in some takedowns. And as the fight goes on, I think Grant gets a little bit tired from the heavy grappling approach of Damon Blackshear here. And I do think that the sub is most likely going to come later on in this fight. I don't mind the third round submission, but I'm going with the second round. I think that Blackshear is going to be able to have his way later on in this fight. Maybe get a little bit of top pressure, a little bit of ground and pound going, and then soften him up. Let Grant make a few mistakes from being hit, and then ultimately find the neck here for the second round submission, plus 700. Damon Blackshear, hopefully he can get it done here for the props. And that's one of the only props that I do like this week, purely because some of them are a little bit too chalky and they're not enough value for me to really talk about on the prop section here. But I like Blackshear to get the second round submission. And as always, people, I have to let you guys know what's coming on the channel and what is already on the channel. We have the dog of the week, like I mentioned earlier. That is the full breakdown of why I like Rinja Derrida as the favorite underdog on this entire card. Full highlight reel tape for your enjoyment. Check that video out. The link will be in the description. It should be popping up for you on your screen shortly. And the full card breakdown here for UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi. Whittaker taking on Derrida in the main event. Carlos and I do a full card breakdown, which is in detail of each individual matchup on this card. Check that video out. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.